Find other great podcasts like this one at Podmoth.network.
What's up, frickin' weirdos? My name is Kevin, and I'm the host of Where the Weird Ones Are podcast. This is a conversational podcast based on guest experiences and encounters with paranormal, cryptids, aliens, spirituality, mental health, as well as conspiracies. If these topics interest you, you can find me on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, as well as YouTube and Rumble. If you have an encounter or an experience of something that you can't quite explain, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com, where_theweirdonesare on Instagram, and where the weird ones are on Facebook. I hope to hear from you, my friends. Question everything and stay weird.
Hey there, my name is Bree.
And I'm Suze.
We're the hosts of Crime and Spirits, a true crime and cocktail podcast. Do you love spooky stories and all things true crime?
How about themed cocktails? Do you love those too?
Well, that's perfect, because so do we.
Yeah, in fact, we love them so much, we made an entire podcast all about it.
Every week, we bring you a new episode that covers a different case or topic of interest, but first, we'll need drinks.
Don't you worry, we've got you covered there. Every week, we'll teach you how to make a handcrafted cocktail that ties into the theme or topic in some way.
So you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and pretty much every other platform available.
New episodes roll out every Sunday.
So buckle up
and sip tight.
We can't wait to talk some true crime with you. Bye!
Welcome to the Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy podcast. I'm Deklan, the son.
And I'm Jane, the mom. This is the podcast where we talk about brutal crimes, bizarre occurrences, and get you drunk with cocktails themed around one of our stories. To lighten things up, we'd like to end our time with a chaser. Please keep in mind some of our stories might be upsetting to young or sensitive ears.
We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to contact us by email or social media. You can find our contact info in the show notes for this episode. If you'd like to support us through Patreon, you can find us there at Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy podcast, or use the link in our show notes.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Brutal, Bizarre, and Boozy. Thank you for joining us again. How are you doing today, Deklan?
I'm good. How are you today, Mom?
I am well, thank you. What story do you have for us today?
Today, I'm going to be discussing ley lines, which have come up. We've done a couple stories that involve them, so it kind of ties some other stories together. But what story do you have for us today?
Are you going to link them to this when we get into the story?
Yeah, I'll mention
cool.
podcast
which
it was,
ones
and
they're
which
from.
number. Yeah.
Okay, cool. My story today is a murder case that was born out of a massive web of lies. And it's from Canada. And that's why I chose the drink, the Bashful Canadian. But I don't think the character, the main guy in this, was never described as being bashful. But he's Canadian, so that's why I went with the drink.
Okay.
We'll see if it's any good. The Bashful Canadian is made of 3 ounces of rye whiskey, 1 ounce of Aperol, half an ounce of lemon juice, and half an ounce of maple syrup. You can garnish it with a lemon twist if you like. The steps are to pour all ingredients into a shaker with ice, shake it, strain it, and put it in a chilled cocktail glass. Let's give this a try.
I don't think I'm going to like this.
I'm a little nervous because Aperol can be really dry, but I love the flavor of it.
I'm quite surprised by that. I thought I was going to hate that.
It's good.
It's pretty good.
It's a little.
I thought the maple syrup was going to be too much, but it's I don't even really taste it.
No, because it's such a small amount.
Yeah, but it's a powerful ingredient. You can tell when something's
Yeah.
got maple in it, but you can't really taste it in this.
No, you don't
I mostly
taste
just taste Aperol.
Mm-hmm. And the whiskey.
It's not bad.
That's a decent drink.
Yeah.
It's a little bitey on the back end.
I don't get that. It seems pretty smooth to me.
It's not terrible.
Yeah.
I'd drink it again. I don't know that I would seek it out, but if somebody handed it to me, I'd be like, yeah. Thanks.
What's it called again?
The Bashful Canadian.
Interesting.
Yeah. I guess if you put maple syrup in anything, you can call it a Canadian drink. At least that's how it seems. Okay, let's get into our little story. This person, his name is Brett Ryan. He is the focus of our brutal story today. Brett was born in 1980 to parents Bill and Sue. He was the third of 4 children, all of them boys. His oldest brother was Chris, second was Leland, and the youngest brother was AJ. The family lived in Scarborough, Pickering area of Toronto, or Toronto, as I've heard that you drop the last T.
I don't think it.
I don't know if
knows what
that's
you're
true
talking
or
about.
not. So, Brett was an active member of the community. He volunteered with children, and he was a referee at some of Little League baseball games. Friends described him as an outgoing athlete. After graduating high school, he went to University of Toronto, but his college career didn't last very long. He ended up dropping out fairly quickly after starting, so he didn't complete his degree. Instead, he became a house painter, and in the process of everything, he was building up a pretty good-sized debt. By 2007, when he was 26 years old, he owed $60,000 in debt.
Did he buy a car or something? That's a lot of debt.
No, I think, I would imagine it's kind of hard to make your way in this world and pay for stuff and do stuff when, I don't know how much money he was making as a house painter, but probably maybe that was where the problem was. But it caused him to struggle financially. And so he started looking for a way out. He decided the easy route was to rob some banks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
get it. I get it. And of course, we're all fans of a good heist. And Brett's was pretty funny how it was conducted. His first bank robbery was in October of 2007. He wrapped his face in medical bandages and wore a sling on his left arm. He approached the teller with several papers in his hand and delivered a note demanding money and claiming he had a gun in his sling. He asked for at least $2,000, but he only got a little over $1,000. But I would imagine if I had done that and got any money, I'd be pretty stoked about it. And he was happy that he walked away with, some quote unquote free money and that he didn't get caught. So he realized he could do it again. Over the next 8 months, he robbed 12 more banks for around $28,000 total.
That's pretty good. That's half his
Not
debt.
enough, not to pay off his debt, but
about half. That's a good chunk off of there.
More than he had before.
I think if I was going to use a note, I would pretend to be mute at first and then pull out the note so that it doesn't look suspicious if you're passing notes back and forth to a teller.
True. Yes. That does raise some suspicion. If I were in a bank and saw somebody hand over a note, I would probably be very concerned and running out of that bank before my transaction was done, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah.
His disguise changed a little after the first one, and he started wearing a fake beard, a bucket-style hat like from the Gilligan's Island show. He wore glasses, a plaid shirt, and a dark jacket. And the new disguise earned him the nickname of the Bearded Bandit or the Fake Beard Bandit. I've seen both.
Okay.
His success was also due to the fact that he had never been arrested, so any fingerprints he left at the scene weren't coming back to him. They were just unmatched prints. Eventually, his luck ran out when police were able to trace his vehicle from one of the scenes back to his home. He spent 7 months in jail awaiting trial for the robbery. Based on his lack of any prior crimes and many reports about his volunteer work, the judge sentenced him to 5 years in prison, but he served around a year and was released in 2010. He went home to his family and tried to start his life again. But starting over as a bankrupt ex-con proved to be rather difficult. Soon after, the family moved to a different house, but Brett's criminal past wasn't known to the neighbors. Basically, his mom was like, all our neighbors are talking shit and we need to get out of this neighborhood. And so they moved and didn't tell anybody about his criminal background. Same. Yeah. With the encouragement of his parents, Brett started university again. He was trying to get his life back on track. Around a year after getting released from prison, Brett was set up on a blind date with a friend of a friend. Her name was Kristen. She was stable with a good job and a nice downtown condo. They fell in love and ended up getting engaged. She knew about his criminal past, so that wasn't a problem for her, and she loved him anyway. They planned on getting married in September of 2016. Brett's dad passed away suddenly, and he started doing odd jobs around his mom's house for some extra cash. What Kristen didn't know was that Brett had some pretty big secrets, namely his school and his work.
Okay.
He had dropped out of university again, but he told no one and made it look like he finished his degree. We've come across this at least a couple of times.
Yeah.
If you're going to drop out of school, just tell everyone so you don't end up having to kill your family to keep the secret. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Just if you don't want to go to school, just don't go to school. It's fine. But don't tell everybody you did and then kill people when they find out that you didn't.
Yeah.
He pretended like he finished his degree and then landed a great job. He had actually gotten a tech job, but not long after getting the offer for the job, it disappeared because the company that agreed to hire him found out about his criminal background and they were like, we're going to have to pass. So no job. But again, he didn't tell anybody and he just made it look like he got the job. He pretended every day to get up and get ready for work for several months. And his live-in girlfriend had no idea that that's what was happening.
So he was just like leaving the house every day and pretending to be gone for 8 hours.
Yep. Meanwhile, planning a fancy wedding with Kristen, looking for a new house, and making arrangements for a fun bachelor party. But he was broke, and he asked his mom for help. After lying for a year and just weeks before his wedding, he decided to follow the recommendation of his psychologist, and he told his mom the truth. He told her everything and asked for her help. Maybe he thought she would be supportive like she had always been, but the support this time came in the form of tough love. She said, I'm not going to bail you out. You are going to tell your fiancé the truth and all of the truth. And if you don't tell her the truth, I will tell her for you. So mom had an ultimatum. He didn't really like it. It was not the answer he was looking for. And the thought of having to come clean was not what he was looking for either. For the second time in his life, Brett was facing the collapse of an identity he had carefully constructed. The bank robberies had been an attempt to hide his financial failure. Nearly a decade later, he was facing the consequences of all those lies again. His solution was to remove the threat. So he was going to kill his mom.
Okay.
Mom was the problem.
Let's go somewhere else.
Mom had the ultimatum. So he said, I'll just take out mom. He started planning. His criminal background prevented him from buying a gun legally. So he decided that a secondhand crossbow would be easier. And he was able to obtain it secondhand with no paper trail. So nobody knew that he had bought the crossbow, and it couldn't be linked back to him. He couldn't just walk in the house and kill her, though. He had to devise an intricate plan. I mean, he didn't want to get caught. So
yeah, might as well bump it up to first degree.
Things. Right. Brett went to his mom's house over several days working on renovation projects, but he also went there to hide the crossbow in her garage. You can't just walk up to your mom's house with a crossbow and not look sketchy, especially on the day that she dies. So, you got to plant it there in advance. On August 25th, 2016, Brett and Kristen got ready for work. Well, Kristen got ready for work. Brett was just faking it again. After Kristen left, he continued with the intricate plan that he had devised. He wanted there to be a good digital record of him being at home, so he set up computers and phones. He didn't just plan to leave them there. He wanted them to be active. So he had oscillating fans that move. He connected the fans by using wooden spoons and styluses to the
swipe on his phone.
He taped the utensils to the fan so that the fan, when it moved, would touch the buttons and the phones, so it looked like he was at home. He also rigged that equipment to give him that electronic false alibi by using timers. So like the digital timers that you would plug like Christmas lights into, or like your home lights to go on after you leave at night while you're on vacation. He rigged those to turn on, and then that would turn the fan on, and then the fan would move and push all the buttons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smart.
But he got that all set up, but there's cameras, so he can't just ride the elevator down 14 flights. He's got to get out of the condo building unseen. So instead of riding the elevator, he walked down 14 flights of stairs to the back entrance and then left through the alley. He avoided all the cameras in the alley as well. He was wearing a double layer of clothing because, one layer of clothing is going to get soaked in blood. So you got to take that off and then have clean clothes underneath.
Makes sense.
The plan. Totally. He packed a gym bag with some of the clothing items from his bank robbery days as well. When he arrived at his mom's house, of course, there was an argument, and she called Brett's brother, Chris, to come over for help with the situation. Brett went out to the garage, got the crossbow, but his mom followed him out there, and so she was really close, meaning he didn't have time to load the weapon. So instead, he used a crossbow bolt and stabbed her. I'm assuming the bolt is the arrow, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Yeah. He used that and just as a utensil and stabbed her with it. He then used a piece of rope and strangled her to death because stabbing her with the arrow wasn't enough to kill her. Brett knew his brother would arrive soon, and so he loaded the crossbow. When Chris entered the garage, Brett shot him in the back of the neck, killing him instantly. Brett then concealed the bodies under a tarp and went back into the house. His younger brother, AJ, had just come home, and they started physically fighting. Brett was able to stab AJ with another crossbow bolt. Brett's third brother, Leland. Yes,
It seems like a very bad way to. I'm trying to imagine how he would do it, and
right.
It's long enough that you can't like stab like a knife, but it's not got like a blade on it. I mean, it's got a point, but there's no grip on it. It's just a thin shaft. I feel like if you stab something, your hand is just going to slide down it.
Right.
Like,
but I did see the descriptions of the bolts themselves. It was like a point, like a triple point. So it had 3 sides on it that were all sharpened.
Yeah, like a broadhead for deer, basically.
Making it easier to.
Yeah.
So Brett's third brother, Leland, was in the house. He had been taking a nap the whole time. And the fight with the youngest brother woke him up from his nap. Leland and Brett fought, leaving a trail of blood. AJ had managed to crawl out the front door, and he was in the driveway when Leland and Brett were fighting. The fight between those two brothers left a massive trail of blood and damage because they were fighting. Leland got a cut on his head. He's bleeding everywhere. Brett's covered in the blood of his 3 other family members that he's already attacked. It's messy. Furniture's broken. Bad stuff happened. Like I said, AJ had been able to get outside to the driveway. Leland was able to break away from the fight, and he managed to run to the neighbor's house and ask the neighbor to call the police. Brett, figuring the jig is up, sat down on the front porch and waited calmly for the police to arrive. By the time the police did arrive, AJ was barely alive, and he passed away before the ambulance could get there. Leland did sustain some injuries, like I said, but he did survive the whole thing. He was the only survivor of Brett's attack. Brett admitted to killing his family at the scene and later ended up pleading guilty in court. He was convicted of second-degree murder for his mom and AJ and first-degree murder for his brother, Chris. Legally...
First degree for his mother. He planned it. He brought the crossbow over. Okay.
Right. Legally, the difference was that he had hidden in the garage and waited for Chris to arrive. So that was first degree. But with the mom, I guess because he didn't use the crossbow as intended and he only stabbed her with a bolt, they were saying, well, he went there maybe to talk her out of it, and she decided to hold her ground. And so he, in a fit of, anger, I guess. I mean, but in reality, it doesn't matter.
First degree.
First degree versus second degree, but, he was getting first degree for his brother Chris anyway, so why did it matter? But he was sentenced to concurrent life sentences for the murders and another 10 years for the attempted murder of Leland. He will be eligible for parole in 2041 when he is 60 years old.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That was
So
dark.
family annihilator, but not your typical family annihilator situation. Because usually a family annihilator is the parent offs the kids, and then potentially the other parent if there is another parent at the scene. But I mean, seems like a family annihilator scenario to me.
Yeah, seems like it.
Mm-hmm. And that's our Canadian.
Alrighty.
Tell us about Ley Lines, because I know nothing about them, but we've heard about them in several episodes. So
They're very interesting. So ley lines are straight alignments drawn between various historic structures, prehistoric sites, and prominent landmarks. The idea was developed in early 20th century Europe. The idea that ancient sacred sites might have been constructed in alignment with one another was proposed in 1846 by Reverend Edward Duke, who observed that some prehistoric monuments and medieval churches aligned with each other. In 1909, the idea was advanced in Germany. There, William Tutte had argued for the presence of linear alignments connecting various sites, but suggested that they had a religious and astronomical function. The idea of leys as paths traversing the British landscape was developed by Alfred Watkins, a wealthy businessman and antiquarian who lived in Hereford. According to his account, he was driving across the hills near Blackwardine, Herefordshire, when he looked across the landscape and observed the way that several features lined up together. He subsequently began drawing the lines across his Ordnance Survey maps, developing the view that ancient British people had tended to travel along straight lines using mark points along the landscape to guide them. He put forward his idea of ley lines in the 1922 book Early British Trackways, and then again in greater depth in the 1925 book The Old Straight Track. He proposed that the existence of a network of completely straight roads that cut through a range of prehistoric Roman and medieval structures. In his view, these straight tracks were ancient trade routes. Many traditional historians and archaeologists doubted his claims. However, due to a boom in popularity based on the increasing classes focusing on archaeology and history, many new scientists began believing in his theory. In the 1961 book Skyways and Landmarks, Tony Wedd published his idea that Watkins' leys were both real and served as ancient markers to guide alien spacecrafts that were visiting Earth.
Oh, okay. I didn't think the aliens were coming in.
It's a big part of this. So,
okay.
He came to this conclusion after comparing Watkins' idea with those of the French ufologist Amy Michel, who argued for the existence of, I'm going to mess this word up, orthotenes lines along which alien spacecrafts traveled. Wedd suggested that suggested that either spacecrafts were following the prehistoric landmarks for guidance, or that both the leys and the spacecraft were following the magnetic current flowing across the Earth.
Okay.
Wedd's ideas were taken up by the writer John Michel, who prompted them to a wider audience in his 1967 book, The Flying Saucer Vision. In this book, Michel promoted the ancient astronaut belief that extraterrestrials had assisted humanity during prehistory, when humans had worshipped these entities as gods, the Dogon tribe.
Right.
But that aliens left when humanity became too materialistic and technology focused. He also argued...
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just going to say Dogon tribe was our first episode.
Yes.
Okay.
Go check that out if you haven't listened to it yet. It's very interesting. He also argued that humanity's materialism was driving it to self-destruction, but that this could be prevented by reactivating the ancient centers, which would facilitate renewed contact with the aliens. Ley lines fall under a sort of geometric pattern covering the entire Earth that just so happens to land on some very significant ancient structures. I'm going to go on a huge list here.
Okay.
So all these structures land in these like intersections of ley lines that people have drawn on maps. And
okay.
So there's actually a lot more of them in the UK because that's kind of where this whole idea started, was in Europe and the UK. So there's a lot more maps detailing, like they have smaller structures on there like churches and stuff, but these are the ones that are super crazy. So we've got Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Avebury stones, which is a bigger Stonehenge. It's like huge, also in the UK.
Never heard of it.
Royston Cave, which is a man-made cave with ancient carvings that no one really knows the origin of. The Acropolis in Greece. The Karnak stones, another weird Stonehenge. Petra, which is a city carved out of stones in Jordan.
Right.
Angkor Wat, Easter Island, the Nazca Lines, which we talked about in episode 177 and 178. Machu Picchu, and many others, but those are the most notable monuments that land on these hotspots.
Okay.
So a lot of...
My problem with it is that you can draw a straight line between 2 points for whatever.
But these are like... Since the Earth isn't a flat piece of paper, the lines have to curve. And so the curvature of these lines line up with like the curvature of the Earth if it were to follow a straight line.
Okay.
Like it's not like a grid. It's like there's so many maps and it's so hard to kind of like
I'm going to look up
at it. It's very, I don't know. It looks like you need to be a cartographer to understand any of it, but so what is the UFO connection? Obviously, a lot of the sites that I just mentioned are surrounded in UFO controversy. Ley line believers connect these major structures using a sort of grid and smaller lines branching off from that grid. So think of like a highway system. So you take I-5 until you need to get off onto another highway to get to a smaller town. Or you could just stay on I-5 and hit all the major cities. Like, so that's kind of how the maps are drawn. Like, another thing with these ley lines is mapping them comes from UFO sightings and events. So when sightings occur, ley line mappers will try to track which interstate, like which of the bigger ley lines they were on, and the trajectory in which they were heading, and other monuments or landmarks that could have landed along that trajectory. So then they kind of infer new ley lines off to like smaller places. So for an example, one proposed ley line runs from San Francisco Bay Area to the East Coast, passing directly through locations like Mount Shasta, Sedona, Santa Fe, and Roswell. This connects the Roswell UFO to ley line theory. Maybe the alien drive-in UFO had a few too many space beers and crashed off the highway and landed in Roswell.
For sure.
Another one, Rendlesham Forest, which was episode 146, also passed through ley lines in the UK. Also, many of the crop circles observed have been near or on ley lines.
Wow.
So they make a little pit stop, use the restroom, and then get back on the highway and go see the pyramids of Giza or whatever.
Little rest stop area.
Another idea behind ley lines is a spiritual connection to the Earth's energy, similar to acupuncture. And I'm not super familiar with acupuncture, so could you explain? You know how like kind of the basics of how it works. Like you put a needle in, and it forces the blood to that area to kind of.
I couldn't even tell you. I don't know.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I've had it done several times, and sometimes it's worked well for me, and sometimes it hasn't. And I refer clients to acupuncture all the time, but I know there's like energy channels and like you can affect parts in the body. Like you could affect the wrist by doing points on the head or down in the foot. There's a connection. I don't know what the connections are, but there's a pattern to it. I just have never looked into the pattern because I don't do that kind of technique or anything.
Yeah. So they kind of think of these as similar to acupuncture spots where, like you were saying, like,
yeah,
the energy that like electromagnetic
pathway.
or whatever the fuck kind of energy Earth has is being funneled to these hotspots like Giza, like Petra, like and are thought to connect the electromagnetic fields surrounding the Earth to these specific spots.
Okay.
Many say that when they visit spots along ley lines, they feel an energy they've never felt before. Often electronics have issues around these areas, and many come to spiritual awakenings at these locations. Pendulums and dowsing rods can be used to detect these energy fields and ley lines, and many who meditate are able to remote view specifically at these locations, which is
weird. Remote viewing is something.
I forget. I should have written down what episode that was that we talked about the Stargate program. That was probably like 3 or 4. I think that was like.
Oh, it was fairly early. Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
While ley lines remain a highly skeptical topic, I tend to believe them more and more.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. It's one of those like pseudoscience things, but I like pseudoscience stuff. I don't know if I don't know if believe is the right word. I find it more entertaining that it exists than it doesn't. So
right.
I choose to believe in a sort of sense like that, I guess.
Yeah. Project Stargate, you covered in episode 3.
I was right. Yes.
Yep. Good job.
Good guess. That was
Mount Shasta is also supposed to be on one of those lines, right? You did mention that one. And we talked about Mount Shasta in episode 5.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. A lot of our older episodes, I guess, involve this.
I would be curious to know, you mentioned the forest one. The heck was the name of that?
Rendlesham?
Rendlesham? Yeah, that one. I would be curious to know where some of our other UFO episodes end up on that map. Like we talked about the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter.
I didn't
that was
see that
UFOs.
one on there, but I think America is less mapped than UK and other European countries, but I'm sure I don't know. The thing is, you look at like ley line maps and they almost all look different. Like, I don't know which one to believe.
Yeah.
I think it's people mapping them on their own. Like,
could be. I noticed I looked at a couple of the maps and there were ones that were like you mentioned that there's like almost like a hub where a bunch of different incidents.
It's like branches off from there.
Yeah.
It's like when they track like diseases and like what flights they were on and stuff. Like,
yeah. And it looks like there's one big one, but the problem is with the maps that I'm looking at, they don't say where that location is. Like there's one that has like a whole bunch that branch out of it. I'm thinking it might be Bermuda.
It looks like Bermuda Triangle area. Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's another one that pinpoints to like, I don't know if it's northern Mexico or southern US or right on the border. Like between San Diego and Tucson. The map that I'm looking at has a whole bunch, but I don't know what's there. Like it doesn't seem to be related to anything. And then another one in Canada that has a whole bunch of branches coming off of it too.
So I just looked up some in Oregon, and it looks like it connects Mount Rainier, Three Sisters, Crater Lake, Mount Shasta, and Lake Tahoe all in one line.
I don't know how that's possible for some of these, but
I don't know either. I think a lot of people just be making shit up, but I don't know. I don't really know anything about cartography or anything. I know the Earth curves, and so a straight line would be different, but there's
unless
also
the Earth is flat.
I don't think
Might
it
be
is
flat.
Sorry, flat earthers. I don't think it's flat. There's also a lot of these like hotspots are connected to large mineral contents like under the ground. So like
make sense.
Huge quartz reserve, I don't know, not reserves, but like large amounts of quartz and iron and all these other like conductive
resources.
Minerals.
Yeah. Because the aliens are coming down I-5 and they knew there was a mineral deposit at, they
gotta go get their salt lick.
They got to go get it and load it into their UFO and then fly to Mount Shasta.
Yep. You have a chaser for us?
I do have a chaser. My chaser is a watch recommendation for the show The Burrows.
Okay, yeah, I think you're telling me this.
Yeah, it's a cool little show. It's basically about this guy who he moves into a retirement community, and after his wife passes away, and then he starts noticing weird things happening to people that are inside the community, and a friend of his dies, and it's supernatural, it's sci-fi, it's a cute little show about this guy, and he recruits his friends that are also it's a retirement community, so they're old folks. And they try and figure out what is happening in their community that is causing these strange deaths to occur. And
that sounds interesting.
There's creepy things involved and bad people, but it's a good little show. And I think it's probably a limited series, but I mean, they could maybe come up with a season 2 for it. I don't know. But it's a good little watch, and one of those things that is entertaining.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. What is your chaser?
My chaser is the show Pluribus that we just started watching together recently. It's the show about like an alien invasion, and there's only 12 survivors, but it's not your typical alien invasion or like War of the Worlds. I don't want to give too much away,
right?
But it almost sounds like a cool alien invasion in my book, but
I don't know. Being taken over by an alien might not be as cool as it seems.
I think it seems pretty cool so far. The main character is just going about it all wrong. I don't want to spoil anything, so you guys will have to check it out. I think it's on Apple.
Yes.
Yeah. But
I would agree. It's a good show.
It is.
It's a decent, at least so far. We haven't finished it yet. We might have to retract that statement in a future episode. It could have a terrible ending. Exactly. I mean, it's happened before where I've been like, yes, watch this show. It's really good. And then
and you finish it.
The last 2 episodes are just absolute garbage. And you're like, I got to retract that because it's so bad.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. Oh, I'm going to redo that.
Let's try that again.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. Make sure to check back next week for episode 200. We've got a special one for you guys.
Woohoo!
combo
200.
episode.
That is
Yeah.
wild to think that we have done 200 episodes.
If you've been listening since episode 1, we thank you. If you're
Yes.
a new addition, we also welcome you. And
Yes.
hopefully you stay for another 200 more.
Yeah. And please, everyone, reach out to us. We'd like to know who's listening. We totally respond to emails and chats and messages, and we'd love to hear what you like. Hell, tell us what you don't like. We might ignore it, but, it's always nice to know.
We haven't done an Apple review in a while. Go ahead. If you
We
want us
haven't.
to read an Apple review,
Please.
go ahead and
Yes.
drop one and we'll read it and on air and give you a little shout out. So,
Yes. And say thank you ever so much.
yeah. All right. Love you, Mom.
Love you too, bud.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, friends. Thank you for supporting our podcast. Please share our show with your brutal and bizarre friends. Give us a Boozy follow on your favorite podcast platform. If you're feeling extra generous, we'd appreciate a 5-star rating or review as well. But maybe do that sober so all the letters are in the right place.
You can find all our contact information in the show notes. We love hearing from you, and if you're interested in helping us stock the bar for our future Boozy episodes, you can find our Patreon link in the show notes as well.